so well. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to meet you. It's not a secret that this is our first time.
Yes.
The amazing Keta Jeaux. So how are you feeling in this
I'm
moment?
feeling good. I just moved back to LA. I was in the Atlanta area for almost 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great reset for me. I was in LA for 5 prior to that. So I kind of got my head back to where I needed to be. Also ran into a pandemic.
A pandemic? Like,
Yeah.
You mean the global one?
A global pandemic.
Oh, my gosh.
And now I'm back. So it will be 2 weeks on Sunday, which is tomorrow.
Oh, man. You're probably tired. Because I think I just physically got tired thinking
Hearing
about Atlanta,
it.
LA. Not hearing about it, but feeling like I'm an empathetic person.
Yeah.
So I understand what it's like to move and to make big decisions. And that can be really traumatic.
It was intense. So I flew with all my belongings. That's how I moved from here to Georgia. God. I kind of like hacked the system because it's cheaper to just fly through Southwest and pay like $75 for a 50-pound thing. So I did that again. And I got to the airport. My dad was helping me. He like lugged, I think I had 9 pieces of luggage that were like, some of them were cardboard boxes, some of them were actual like pieces of luggage. Wow. They're like, oh, we're gonna have to crack all these open. I was like, I had them plastic wrapped. They were beautiful.
Oh my gosh! Why would they have to open them? Sorry.
Honestly, I have no idea because they didn't the last time. Okay. Needless to say, it was stressful, but I made it. Everything came in one piece. It showed up when I did.
Oh, wow.
So
that's really important, and you want your things to show up at the same time as you do. So
I literally prayed.
Have this moment of, yay, you're here. You're present fully with your things.
With my things.
At a pretty good rate. And this is not an advertisement for Southwest, okay?
No.
But
now you know.
If y'all want to send us your billions, we will gladly take them and plaster your logo all over. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, wow, I am so intrigued by your journey. I want to spend some time on that. So you were in LA for 5 years, right?
Yeah, just about.
And then you went to Atlanta. Can you share with us, like, why Atlanta? Like, what took you there?
Yeah, so I moved out here. I'm originally from the Midwest. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and then raised between like southern and central Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And when I was 15, I was discovered by Darkchild, who was one of Michael Jackson's producers and has basically produced for everybody else in between.
Rodney Jerkins.
And it completely changed my life, obviously, overnight. Like, went from living next to a cornfield to like my whole family moving to LA.
Oh my gosh.
And so over the course of, like those 5 years, my parents decided that they wanted to move to Atlanta, and I stayed in LA for 8 months on my own, and came to a place where I felt like I needed to kind of ground myself again, regroup about what I actually wanted, because I came into the industry so young, and it takes a toll on your mental health, on your physical health, on your spiritual health. And so I just kind of went home, which happened to be in Atlanta. So, I mean, they have an amazing entertainment scene out there, obviously, with TV and film and the music industry. But music is still kind of limited out there to R&B, trap, and other like urban genres. Yeah. So for me, I can write in those genres. It's not like my strong suit. Sure. I'm a pop crossover, like EDM writer. Nice. So over the pandemic, I invested in a home setup, so I can record myself and vocal produce and all of that on my own now, which I wish I would have done that a million years ago. Oh, wow. It is so creatively freeing. Yeah. But yeah, so I've been in Atlanta for a while, and it was just kind of the first year or two, honestly, was just me kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty, doing some inner healing and that sort of thing. And now, like, I'm on the other side. We've all made it through this pandemic. I mean, more or less. It's still so relevant in everyone's lives. But I did the work, and now I'm back, and I feel really confident. And it's crazy to see how everything, like, my desires and dreams have kind of evolved and grown up with me. That was a lot.
We're done. Because I could just park right there. So, I mean, there's some words in there that are just sticking with me, like grounding. Mm-hmm. How did you know that you needed to get to that place? And share as much or as little.
I'm a super transparent person.
Me too.
It's like the curse of the creative, I think.
Yeah, I call it the blessed curse.
Yeah. So, gosh, so many things. Like I said, coming into the industry young, I have experienced chronic health problems more than half my life now. And I had made miraculous recoveries in those early stages, like I would say 14 to 17, I was doing really, really amazing, and taking care of myself consciously, and life happens, and you fall off the bandwagon,
yes,
and kind of lost that cadence of going to the gym and being super conscious of what I'm eating, and also consuming in other ways of just like people I'm around, and so I started to gain physical weight and emotional and spiritual weight. And at a certain point when I was I think I was like 20, just about to turn 21, I was like, I think we're getting a little too close to something that if we let it snowball could turn into something really detrimental to myself. And I'm a huge advocate for like personal growth and development and like being introspective, and I'm just glad that I had the willingness to be that honest with myself, to be like, okay, let's kind of disconnect from this alien world that is LA, this other planet that is LA, and go home to my mommy.
Oh my gosh.
And just kind of, like I said, ground myself and ask myself questions. What do I really want? Like, what are my goals? How do I want to dress? How do I want to live? And allow myself to dream fully too, because I'd been kind of limiting myself to just music, and I didn't realize that.
I feel like I owe you a bill for this conversation so far, because it's like so many things. Like, we just met, and I can fully relate to everything that you've shared, because I've been in that space. Have you had to have conversations with people or wait that may have been attached to you as you're going into this grounding and reset, recalibration, redo, all the re's? Have you had to have hard conversations with people who might not have understood where you were at the time and where you're going?
My life has been a testament of drastic change, like overnight shifts in environment and overall experience. Like, life is so interesting in that way, where everything feels normal one second, and maybe you have this realization of something about yourself or another individual. Like, people come and go, we evolve, and we're constantly trying to take the next step in the right direction, is my personal belief within my life. And for a period of time, I felt like I was trying to find myself, because I felt very sure of myself when I was a young teenager.
Sure.
But there was nothing really to base it off of when it comes to real deal life experiences. Sure. And so as I started to experience life, you start to kind of feel distance from yourself. So I can remember like a handful of moments throughout like maybe those 4 years, where I felt like I was trying to find myself again. And at some point I was like, oh, this isn't about finding myself. It's about who do I want to be and how do I create that and foster the environment to like really dig deep and create the habits and personality traits that I wanted to create within myself, which includes to what your question was, hard conversations. When I moved, I basically cut everybody off. I don't think that is necessarily necessary for everyone going through like a transformation of sorts, But in my case, the majority of the people who were around me at that time aren't the type of people to be able to see my evolution and disregard my past self. And so I had to not necessarily have hard conversations, but make hard decisions and move forward for the sake of, who I wanted to become. And there is pain and grieving in that that people don't really talk about, because thankfully it didn't have to be family members.
Oh, yeah.
My family and I are very close.
Good.
And they're extremely supportive of me. But I have a lot of empathy towards people who, when they're going through that transformation and their family isn't on the same train track as them, I think about those moments. It was a lot easier for me because my family was so supportive of just letting me kind of dig through my stuff and, like I said, recreate or rediscover myself.
Hey, it's LANEshia, and I am one of the hosts for a new amazing podcast called Mesh the Podcast. It is a space for creatives to come together, learn new information about artistry, industry news, connections, film, music. It's a space for anyone who has a niche for anything creative that can be used in the entertainment industry. If you want more information, go check us out and subscribe to meshthepodcast.com.
Okay, I am talking to the amazing Keta Jeaux, and I'm not just saying that. We have had such a wealthy time together. That's how I feel so far. And one thing I do want to circle back to is, you coming back to LA. Because you took this journey, you were here 5 years. You went home to mommy, as you said. Shout out to moms, the family, and you spent time there in Atlanta, home to get regrounded. I think that was the word you used. And now you're in LA.
And now I'm in LA.
So what gave you permission to come back?
Oh, Lord.
We're going deep.
Gosh. I couldn't afford to stay in Georgia anymore.
Wait. So you came to LA?
So I came to LA, right. Not financially afford.
Understand. Yeah.
There is something to be said about how do I word this? You can be uncomfortable in what you've known, but never have the willingness to leave what you've known and be uncomfortable to move into a new direction, if that makes sense.
Bars, yes.
And I was starting to feel uncomfortable in my comfortability that I had built with, like I said, my family and I are very close. Yeah. And it was getting to the point where it was like I could easily stay here and feel somewhat stagnant in my development of my career and my goals and things like that, but make it work like I have. Or I could, which was making me uncomfortable, or I could jump into something new, into the new chapter of my life and deal with some uncomfortability within that. So I just decided to choose to
Which
step
level
into,
of discomfort?
Yeah, right. And that was a really interesting experience for me. So I had never really cut my hair. I've never dyed it. Oh, wow. And it was down to my butt.
What? Wow.
People recognized me for my hair. It was an accomplishment. People saw it as an accomplishment. Okay. And I always loved my long hair. Yeah. And it sounds sort of cheesy or dorky, but the moment that I was like, I'm moving, I'm leaving, I decided that I was also going to chop a significant amount of my hair off. Wow. Just as a symbolic kind of, when I would look at myself, I saw something drastically different. And when I did that, it was game over. I miss my long hair. Like I said, I loved it.
Your hair is beautiful, by the
But
way.
thank you so much. But your hair holds energy, and there was some energy that I was attaching to my hair from a insecurity standpoint, and like part of my identity was wrapped up in my hair being long. And I just kind of shocked my system, so I cut it off. And that symbolic moment for me kind of triggered this boldness within me to be like, oh, we can do hard things. We cut our hair.
Yeah.
Like, that might not be hard things, but there was a lot that came with that. So I have shorter hair.
Yeah, and it really is. It's
now.
beautiful. I'm not just saying that. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like a new person.
Yeah.
Like Keta Jeaux 2.0.
Woo!
Yeah.
Keta Jeaux 2.0. I love that. And I've heard stories. I have friends who, did the big chop or maybe cut off dreadlocks or something because their identity was tied into the look or the hair or whatever. And I know it looks different for every person. You know, Keta Jeaux is not telling you to cut off your hair to make life choices.
Right.
But that's what she did, and it serves you well.
Yes.
Look at her, putting you on the spot or on the camera.
Thank you.
Keta Jeaux 2.0. So you have shared so many great nuggets. What do you say to the person who, obviously we're creatives, and we haven't talked about
any of it.
Your music and all of their writing and your artistry, all of, we're going to talk about those things, whatever you want to discuss. But what do you say to the person who aspires to be where you are, in their creative career?
Yeah.
And they're struggling with having to make some of those hard choices or decisions or moves to another city or state or country.
Right.
What can you say to encourage that person to take the leap or the jump?
So when I look back on some of the rock bottom moments of my life, I'm only 24, but I feel like I've lived a lot of life.
I feel like you
in
have
24
too.
years. And I have, been told, oh, you have an old soul. And I joke around and tell people I'm ready to go to a retirement resort. So,
take me with you.
So, I feel like I've had some interesting life experiences for someone my age. And like I said, when I look back on some of those more rock bottom moments, in reflection, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was reflecting on her past and how much of a difference and how it's almost unrecognizable her past self was to her. And her name's Dana. And I was like, Dana, we have to praise that version of ourselves because she pulled power and the willingness from nothing. Like, there was nothing outside of her saying, you're doing the right thing. Sure. There was no, affirmation that could have told you that you were in the right direction. Yeah. But somehow we pull, a willingness from nothing, I say from the air, to change and to do new things and make hard decisions. And so one of the things that I think was really helpful in my journey was giving myself grace and forgiving that part of myself that I had resented, the person who maybe made decisions that I wish that I could take back. But the recognizing that I'm, I struggled to get here. Yeah. And what I would say to people is, it doesn't, this is kind of woo-woo, okay?
We can woo. We can woo together.
Butterflies, when they're born, they're caterpillars. Yep. And all they do their whole life as a caterpillar is eat and take in their environment. They actually don't give anything back to the environment yet. So you're just consuming, you're experiencing, you're learning, and then one day you decide, oh, it's time to take a nap. We're going to make a chrysalis. And they completely dissolve within their chrysalis. And when they become a butterfly, nothing about a butterfly is the same as a caterpillar. So it's not like, you're a baby and you're still a human.
Yeah.
And you just grow up.
Yeah.
And you become an adult human.
Yeah.
Like a caterpillar and a butterfly are not the same.
Wow.
And the chrysalis is supposed to reflect its environment. So it usually looks like a leaf or a twig or like a piece of wood.
Wow.
But some of them look like they're gold plated. Like how are you reflecting your environment? Like you look like you're a gem. And so I can remember a specific moment. I was sitting on my couch in Atlanta, and I was really in my feels, and I was really, kind of a little bit consumed within that. And I saw a picture of this chrysalis that was like, it looked like it was gold plated. And God kind of whispered in my spirit and was like, if you will allow me to transform you, it does not have to look ugly if you will just sit with me. And I did that. And so to go back to what you just asked me, what I would say to people is if you are willing to transform, it does not have to be as painful as we assume it is. And if you will detach from the personality that you've developed over years of experience, and, a lot of our personality is attached to trauma or assumptions that we think other people think of us or how we think about ourselves. If you will be bold enough to burn all your boats, like I told you off camera, you can really accelerate that process and come out on the other side and look back and hold so much grace for that past version of yourself. So be willing to be uncomfortable in a new way because you're already feeling a little uncomfy, probably.
Yeah. So, are you talking to me?
I don't know. Am I?
Oh, did she do that to me? Yes, she did. So this is so good. Y'all get your popcorn because we're not done. This is good.
I'm glad. Do you think
so? No, it's really good. Y'all are probably gonna have to cut this, but this conversation is so deep and simple.
It's simple.
Oh my God, I'm inspired. I am. I'm inspired. I want to talk about, before I start crying on camera, I want to talk about projects. Like, tell us about some of the things you've done, some of the, whatever you can share.
Yeah.
Some of the things you would like to do. Let's go on this creative journey because we've already done this self-healing thing.
Yeah, we did the hard stuff.
And we're not done. I mean, she just pulled the bandage off and just give us this good medicine. But yeah, let's talk about your creative process and projects and all the things.
Okay, so I started writing when I was 14.
Okay.
This is the quick version. I got signed to Dark Child, like I mentioned earlier. He had a venture label with Capitol at the time, so I was signed to Capitol. I also signed a publishing deal with Sony Music Publishing under the VP&R at the time. My first show ever was opening up for Sam Smith.
Oh, cool.
Which was a crazy experience that I cherish. I stopped being an artist when I was 17, 18 years old. I kind of got the rug pulled out from under me. It was like going from 0 to 100, kind of back to 30, 50, 30. Wow. So I kind of had to start over, and during that, was diagnosed with narcolepsy, and so I sort of had to learn how to do life again. So in that process, I put the upfront performing artistry on the back burner and started focusing more on songwriting and developing my connections and knowledge in that way. Because I got discovered when I was 15. So, and I didn't even know Hollywood was what it was. I did not know. I was the strange girl in my in the hometown type of story, right?
Yeah.
And so getting my foot in the door for songwriting. I did a collaboration as an artist with a German EDM artist named Schiller, and that did really well at the time. I think I was 17, 18 at the time. Time is like,
I know,
in
right?
the pandemic. I'm like,
You're going
I'm
back
24.
like,
I don't remember
15,
like
when I was 14.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. So I've been doing the songwriting thing for a while now. Over the pandemic, I really started diving into the Asian market. So, K-pop. I had iTunes #1 with a group called Epic High.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I was a writer on the song Rosario, which was featuring CL and Zico. They're two really popular solo artists in that K-pop world.
Yeah.
And I have a few other K-pop placements and
Awesome.
some Chinese cuts coming out in like the next year or two. So that's been a really fun experience because the genre itself is extremely extreme.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah, and the fans are
Extreme.
beyond dedicated, extremely dedicated.
Yeah.
The way they sell records is intriguing to me. So, just been developing connections in that world. But outside of music, I, over the pandemic, have really discovered that I wouldn't say that it's a desire to really do TV and film as much as it is to just create and tell stories, which is what I've always done. I've always been expressing the human experience, whether it's working with an artist and trying to bring clarity to how they want to interpret their own life, or whether it's writing for myself. So, yeah, man, TV and film is something really amazing and allows me to dive into a different part of my creativity and like that storytelling element. So, I'm working with a production company right now called Creative Doorway.
Okay.
And sheesh. They are some of the most talented people I've ever met. And so I'm really excited about what we're developing right now. I believe that it could be at a level like Stranger Things, in my opinion.
Yes. Just putting that out there.
You can quote me on that.
Yes.
Okay. So when we win Emmys and stuff,
I'm gonna say
it'll
told
be like
y'all.
2022, she said. So I'm really excited about that, and that is bringing, like I said, a new level of creativity into my world.
Sure.
And now I'm working in the Web3 metaverse music NFT space, which is, it's
honestly, I know nothing about it, so you're gonna have to give me like a crash course. But we're gonna take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm talking slow so I can give y'all space to do
a little chippity choppity.
Hi, I'm LANEshia, and I want to thank you for joining us on our podcast, Mesh the Podcast. Please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can visit us on our website, themeshcollective.com. We hope that you're enjoying the show. Now back to the podcast.
We are talking to the amazing, the wonderful, the super sweet rock star, Keta Jeaux. This has been such a good conversation. And we were talking, you were getting ready to start talking about meta something. Can you help us, sister, understand? Like, can you give me like a crash course? Like, crash course for dummies, meta, whatever?
Well, I won't dive into like what is an NFT and all of those
Google
things.
that, guys.
Google
Just
that.
Google that.
Because that is a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But where I kind of fit in and get excited about Web3 and music NFTs is there's been a disservice done to creatives within the music industry specifically.
Sure.
And, the music industry has been making more money than it ever has, but the creatives can't pay their rent. They can't eat. They are struggling. Songwriters get a very short end of a very long stick, and the money goes to certain people first before it touches the people who created the product. Some of these issues have to do with laws that were set in place for like decades ago that are no longer relevant to how we consume music and create music in modern times. And so with music NFTs, it offers a really cool opportunity for creatives to, one, create freely, extremely free, and keep track of everything and build communities in a way that is extremely intimate, but also bring in funds, excuse me, that ultimately allows us to create better works of art, and build our communities that much more, because things cost money.
Oh, yes.
Tours cost money. Merchandise costs money to create. And because songwriters and engineers and producers and the people who aren't necessarily the artists, we're all artists.
Right.
But we're not considered the artist. And even artists, really don't see what we used to see, many years ago when it comes to income. And to take it a step further with the pandemic and, artists not being able to tour, things like the metaverse offer a really cool experience that is just an enhancement of what we already experience with, live performances from artists. So say you wanted to see, Justin Bieber has already done this, but you wanted to see Justin Bieber, but he was in a different country. Well, now you could experience Justin Bieber in a new way through the metaverse, and it's international as long as you have an internet connection. There's obviously, it's a new, different experience, and I like to word it as, like I said, an enhancement of what already is standing. So what I'm trying to assist in is bringing synergy between what we call Web 2, which is the current model, and Web 3. So how do we get Web 3 artists who have only been in that space to generate enough of a fan base to perform live? And how do we take Web 2 artists that have had the regular experience in the music industry and integrate music NFTs and metaverse performances into their careers to create a new stream of income for them? So it's, somewhere along the lines of artist relations and strategy, which is really exciting. I never would have thought I would be on the business side of music, but it's kind of unfolding in a way that I'm just here for the ride, honestly.
I love that.
But yeah, that's so vague.
No, but you just talk. I know
what's
nothing
crazy is
about it.
all of that is still so vague about.
But I feel like I learned, because when new things happen, new ways of thinking are introduced. Most of the time, people are skeptical.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's easy to be like, I want to get into that. I'm telling on myself, by the way. But when you see the world is navigating in a direction and it's relentless, are you going to get on that flight, or are you going to be behind?
It goes back to like when email first started, right? And everyone's like, nobody's going to send a letter through the interwebs,
Right.
Nobody's going to see an artist perform in this metaverse. It's already happening.
It's happening. Wow.
And it's part of our evolution.
Yeah.
As humans and how we experience the world, People are already developing eyewear, where you have augmented reality. So it is inevitable. And so I like to find opportunities, but we really won't see another opportunity like this. So I'm trying to be early. Everyone in the NFT space we're still early. This is the baby stages of it. So I think it's important for, especially my generation, Gen Z, to educate themselves on it, because that's a huge part of our future.
Sure.
Because it will be a lot more relevant in how people just do business in general, actually, NFTs and all of that. So do your education.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful because, people, when we're introduced to something new, sometimes you have, what is it called? Flight or fright or whatever.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
fight or flight.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're in it or you're just going to run far away
Yeah.
from it. But if it's not going anywhere and it's our future and it's evolving, we're going to end up in there some way. Don't want to be left behind. Man, you've done so many things.
Where's that retirement resort at?
Listen, with your name on it. Okay,
I'll own it.
We're just gonna take this a whole nother level here. Just put your name on it. What has been like one of the most gratifying experiences that you've had as an artist?
As a
performer.
Okay. Yeah. I had a few fans, right? Outside of my family.
Sure.
I had some really cool individuals that were very supportive of my music and my art. Yeah. And I remember this time I was doing like a meetup, and this girl's name is Cheska.
Hi, Cheska.
I think it's her cousin, Jocelyn.
Hey, Jocelyn.
Made a fake platinum record for me. They framed it, they handmade it, they took like a little vinyl and they spray painted it silver and made a little like a label or
like an RIA type
kind of with my picture, and it said to commemorate Keta for all of her accomplishments that she has yet to accomplish. And I've had that hanging in my room for years. And that was something that was like, because it was really early on in my career, and my career didn't really develop in the artistry way to where that was my experience, was those smaller moments. I have a lot of experience, but as an artist, it was a shorter blip of me being like the performer. And that is one of those moments that I cherish because I felt seen and appreciated for something that I was really working towards. Yeah. And they put effort and time into creating this like beautiful little treasure that I treasure still.
I'd like to call it a prophetic gift.
Yeah.
Message for you to receive into your now, for it to show up when it's supposed to. I want to touch on, because I've been asking you so many questions, and I'm going to give you kudos for answering them all, and hopefully not getting too tired, because this is a very good conversation. Yeah. I want to talk about work ethic, because one thing that I've noticed about you in the short time that we've spent together is that you've been invited into places, and you've been, at the table. You have a seat at a lot of different tables. You wouldn't be in those spaces if you didn't have a good work ethic. That's just my opinion. That's the way that I see it. So what do you say to somebody who's getting started as an artist, a performer, or whatever the thing is in this industry? What do you say to them about work ethic, and how have you managed your work ethic?
Ooh. I have imposter syndrome heavily. So some of what you said, my internal dialogue is imposter syndrome central over here. About seats at tables, because I still feel like I hate the word striving, but I can't really find a better word. I still feel like I'm not there to where I'm really able to freely build. But I feel really close, which is exciting. Good. What I would say is, how bad do you want it? And if you don't want it bad enough, don't. That's such a hard thing to say. Because this isn't just standing on a stage and singing. This isn't just being in a studio and writing words on your phone. This isn't, doing photo shoots. It's entrepreneurship. Yes. And most people are not cut out for entrepreneurship. And if you are not educating yourself on all facets of the music industry, even if you think they do not apply to you, you need to. And if you cannot handle all the different facets of entrepreneurship, finance and marketing and all these things, find people and find quality people. And what I mean by quality people is people who are willing to work hard and continue to educate themselves and evolve with you. It's not necessarily experience-based.
Yeah.
You could find friends that you can really build with that are willing to work hard, educate, and evolve with you. And I think that's super important. And that's something that I've lacked because I'm extremely picky. And I've also hopped around a lot. So it's like when you're moving, it's hard to find those people. But I'm finding those people and the acceleration that comes with that.
Yes.
None of this is done alone. It takes a village.
It does.
Sometimes the village is only 2 people, but it's rarely one person.
Woo, that is so good. That's what I love about Mesh, because it's about the community.
Finding people.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known that, but I think it's becoming even more real to me now, that I'm so involved with Mesh, because we are bringing creatives together, because we are a community and we do need each other, and it could be one other person,
Right.
or it could be a tribe of 10 or 15, so education, that's important. Finding people that can evolve with you, if I'm saying it the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
That is very important, because you have to trust these people too.
It's relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like with any relationship, business, friendship, family relationships, they have to be cultivated and constantly sown into and watered. And if you are surrounded by people who, this is my writer brain, it's like metaphors, where are they at? Like, say you're a pitcher of water and you're just pouring into other people and there's no pouring back into you.
Yes.
That's a bad team is worse than being alone. So take time, and I am constantly trying to tap into my intuition and discernment, and I am constantly affirming wisdom over myself, because I have been in some really not great situations with people. And people change, so I think another thing is, like, everyone has personal goals, and our personal goals change, so we can't take anything personally, especially in entertainment. People are just trying to, it's seen very negatively, but it's facts, so we have to start bringing, we have to be aware of it, right? People do use people, but instead of feeling used, just keep pressing. Like, it has nothing to do with you. I've had my only manager that I had who was like family to me, ended up deciding to close his management company because they couldn't break they said they felt like they couldn't break artists. And I really felt betrayed. And in reality, I was a 16-year-old. Yeah. And they were young adults who had, goals of their own. Yeah. And needed to achieve those goals, and I just wasn't part of that anymore. And so it took me years to cultivate forgiveness and understanding of it had really nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge part of it too. That's
so good. Okay, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, I'm not going to ask you any more questions because I probably have about 100 more. Not going to do that.
We'll do part 2.
Yeah, we'll do part 3, 4, 5 based on this conversation because it's that good, y'all. I know y'all are enjoying this. One last thing that you could share with our audience as we wrap this conversation, anything on your heart that you want to share with folks who aspire to be in the space that you are, that and or beyond, who might be afraid or anything you want to share.
If if there's something that I wish that I would have done sooner, it was utilize social media and the internet. You have access to every piece of knowledge. Any question can get answered literally in the palm of your hand all the time, 24/7. Like, it's crazy to me when I hear people asking the same types of questions and we have the internet. Nuts. So that's one thing. Utilize the internet and it's and the accessibility. LinkedIn, utilize that. Yeah. You can get the emails of basically anybody. Yeah. And if you feel like you can't, last name at company name. Just try it. You know?
She's giving y'all the secrets.
What is it? In the Web3 community, we call it alpha. I'm giving you some alpha right now.
Get you some alpha.
Okay. Yeah, reach out to people. Yeah. Be bold. But also hone in on your craft and don't send no janky SoundCloud links to executives expecting them to take you seriously. Hone in on your craft, do it correctly, which means you have to educate yourself. So look it up. And you can have a home studio. You can record on GarageBand if you know how to do it well. It's like really not that hard anymore to create music. And then like on the other side with, you know, film and other forms of writing and entertainment, you know, there are outlets to learn how to write a script. Start writing your script.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
Keta Jeaux 2.0.
Here we are.
We
made it.
I love you.
I love you. This was really fun.
I am blessed today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Hey guys, I don't even know what to tell y'all. Get your popcorn because we're probably gonna come back and you're gonna see some more of this conversation. But Mesh the podcast. That's all I got. Download the app.
Download the app. Connect.
Oh
find
my gosh.
Your people.
Yeah, find your people. Find your community.
Welcome to Mesh.